Are you gonna teach?
I don't know.
Feel so.
Nothing good. She won't listen.
She won't listen.
No, she won't listen.
She won't listen. She'll teach you.
Any more than I listen to her.
Wow.
That's marriage for her.
That's marriage for you.
So round two. What's round two?
Round two.
Round two.
Round two. We're gonna talk about
more match stuff.
round two. Yeah, we're gonna talk about your development as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
How you learned, what you learned, when you learned it, type stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, you ready?
Well, let's start with. I guess we already talked about off camera when Justin and I first went to LWF. Jimmy, I believe, was a luchador.
Okay.
So we learned.
Well, first.
Oh, we're gonna.
First, I should probably bring us back.
Yes.
Because it's time for another week of Legends in My Own Mind.
Oh, you forgot the line.
And I'm sitting here with the legend, the granddad, the crazy granddad of Central Illinois wrestling. Did you have any monikers? I don't remember any Rip Mystic monikers. Did you have any?
Buzzsaw, chainsaw.
Buzzsaw, the chainsaw. Well, yeah, I guess I called you the chainsaw.
I really wanted Wolfman to take. It never did. I really wanted that to work.
I think the only reason we ever called you the chainsaw was because you used break stuff as entrance music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just became something. Well, I had one on one of my coats. I had a chainsaw.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's right. The leather with cutting through the.
Yeah, and that was kind of a thing with Rip Mystic before. I don't know. I think the wolf thing was just because I didn't want to shave anymore, like my chest or armpits. So I can do like a wolfy man kind of thing, you know. It's not didn't catch it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Wolfman, Rip Mystic.
Yeah. My career, I could have been a contender. I tell you,
you could have been a Wolfman.
Could have been a Wolfman. No, I even had. Remember, Vince had a buddy do some t-shirt concepts and some jacket concepts for me.
I'll remember that.
I'll show them to you. I still got the original.
Oh, I gotta see them.
Yeah, it's actually really good stuff, but it wouldn't have worked for me.
Yeah,
but it's a cool. Big old werewolf coming out of a tombstone, and all these bats are in the back. It's really cool.
That's crazy.
I'm like, yeah, that's.
I don't remember that.
And I come out with my old chainsaw.
I think I remember you mentioning the Wolfman once or twice, but I remember it being more like a joke because, like you said, I don't want to shave anymore. Yeah. So just just be the Wolfman.
So I still worked heel. I still didn't shave anymore, but the Wolfman thing never worked.
That never came through.
That's
probably good.
My howl's too. It's too, I don't know. It's too real sounding. A werewolf howl isn't real sounding. So when you do it, it's kind of like, ooh. And like, no. It always sounds better than it actually is.
Oh, man. Well, Rip, today, this week, I want to talk a little bit about how you developed as a wrestler. So what a perfect place to start than some of your failed developments.
Goofy nickname ideas?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So you were starting to talk about LWF. So where'd you start? You know, what were your first steps? What do you remember about your first steps in wrestling?
Well, the first trip to LWF, besides the Horrible Hotel and everything else, and I'm going to apologize if anyone watching this that was involved, because I do not remember anyone's name anymore. We even hired some of the guys from there to come work our shows, and now I can't remember their names, so I feel real bad because one of them was real instrumental in teaching us a lot, Justin and I both, and it'll probably come to me later.
And that Johnny
Mac. There it was. Thank you. I'm so glad you remembered that because I haven't seen or talked to him in years, but he was one of the kindest, most patient people I ever met in my life. Him and Jimmy both. They were just real. They were, I think, a lot like us. They just loved wrestling. Yeah. They wanted to do it. They were probably told.
Didn't mind sharing.
Yeah, they were probably told similar things when they were coming up. They'd never be worth the price of a ticket. No one will ever come see them. They're not. Excuse me, I'm burping. You're not big enough. All the things people get told.
Right.
And they just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think they saw that in Justin and I, and you know, and we make a lot of jokes about Punk being there and him being kind of a butthole, but self-admitted, I've heard him say that he is plenty interested.
I don't think he disputes that at all.
Yeah, he doesn't dispute it. But when
you're hurting his feelings.
Yeah, when I look back a little bit, he was probably a lot like you would have been with newbies in a locker room where you weren't sure if they were going to stick around or if they were even going to take it seriously.
Right.
He probably was a lot more. He probably acted a lot more like he should have back then. You don't need to be as nice. It causes you problems when you own a gym nowadays. But
well, it causes problems both ways.
It didn't cause problems. We didn't cause them any problems, and we learned. I remember.
Right.
Wrestling was something I picked up real easy. At least the moves. Now, how to do a match properly, completely different story. But how to execute things properly and safely always came like second nature to me. And I remember...
And you're athletic because you had a gymnastics background.
I had a gymnastics background.
The athletics was easy.
And I remember one of the first things I experienced there was... And I won't remember their names, but Justin and I had just got done training the night before, and they were working on their match for the next day's show. And two of the guys, and I can't remember their names, but they were working on a 450, and the guy was just botching it left and right. And Justin kept kind of nudged me like, why don't you help these guys out? And I was like, I do not want to be that guy. Like, I am not that guy that comes in on his first day and shows guys how to do 450s. I'm not. But sure enough, I was there doing 450s the night before and later on that night. But Jimmy actually busted my chops for it after the show. He said, Justin tells me you can already do a 450. Because in the show, they screwed it up, of course. No one got hurt, but the guy didn't hit it right. And I said, the gymnastics stuff. He said, well, you should have said something. You'd have made our show better. And I realized right then, it's like, I actually fucked these guys.
Yeah.
Like, I could have really helped them, and because I didn't want to be that guy, What I tell you years ago, someone said it to me, so I stole it, but it was false humility is just pride.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
I can't remember if you said that to me or I said that to you at some point, but I've heard it before. And that's, that's a life lesson. That's not really a wrestling lesson.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny the things you remember, because there's probably could have done myself better if I'd had a tighter hammerlock back then. But,
but you had a good 450. So
yeah, no, those guys were great, and I was glad I was able to hire some of them when we started running and stuff. And we never had any issues then. We had this little internet feud with Chicago area feds for a while there, and I didn't really understand it too much because I wasn't really much for an internet guy.
I think part of that feud came from because LWF did not get along with Steel Domain and Windy City and Midwest Championship Wrestling were the three.
Yeah.
And they all had, I always assumed a little bit of that was that we were kind of spawned from LWF. Because I know they had issues with all those places.
I remember when Windy City started working with us that they had mentioned, but Windy City was never one to talk bad about any other Fed. They would always say things constructively, like,
well, they were kind of the big leagues. They didn't need to,
Yeah, we don't feel like they're doing their best, type of thing is how they would say it. And I don't know. I just remember getting a lot of internet flack on the new Midwest site that I didn't run, by the way. I just looked at it.
Right.
But about attendance and things of this nature, and at the time, we were doubling Chicago area's numbers. Yeah. And of course, it was all friends and family, and we didn't know what we were doing. We were backyard, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I would write things like, I'm pretty sure my mom's seen me wrestle twice. In 10 years, we're just kicking your ass, dude, in a much smaller area. It's because we had better wrestling.
Yeah.
We had a better entertaining show. All those stuff everybody up there was running the exact same thing, the exact same kind of crap you could see on TV. Our stuff was the stuff you'd see on TV 6 months from now.
Yeah.
And that's what made us special. And I can't prove any of that. You just got to go back and watch it now.
You got to go back and watch it.
Watch it and then watch what was on TV. But how many times did we joke around that WWE had us mic'd and they kept stealing our shit?
We would do stuff all the time, and then 6 weeks later it'd be on Monday Night Raw for real.
Yeah, and that wasn't unique to us either. You saw that in a lot of indie feds. There was a lot of indie.
WWE wanted to be the second to do everything.
Yeah. as many people that was out there doing it wrong, there was a lot of places doing it right too, and there was some fantastic. I mean, that's where your Daniel Bryans, your CM Punks, your AJ Styles, everybody that's our age now or around our age. That's where all those guys came up, is in that same indie scene, and they just stood the test of time, I guess, or didn't get injured enough,
or had the right connections. Who knows how they got where they got, but
I don't want to say no one deserves it, but I have personally been in the ring with people that I know are better than what I've seen on TV and experienced on TV, and I'm sure there's probably wrestlers there that would say that. You know, Nigel comes to mind. I know he got a bad beat with his I don't remember what
he's got an injury in neck or
he had he had some kind of, was it Hep C or something first?
Oh, he
had that first, and I think that caused him some issues in TNA. But then after all that was all cleared up, he had some kind of thing where they wanted him to get fixed. And man, Nigel, he wasn't even that good when he was with us.
Yeah.
If you go back and I haven't watched the stuff that he did with us, but like he's barely recognizable.
Oh, for sure.
Because he had gotten so fit and trimmed up, and his look had just improved. So to see him, even though he's an awesome commentator now, it's like, wow, man, there was so many things. Even his stuff in Ring of Honor. I mean, it's like, with all the stuff that NXT's been doing or had been doing the past couple years, he'd have fit right in there. So.
Yeah, and been better than most of those guys.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And by the time they end up getting to the big leagues, though, they're so banged up now. It kind of sucks.
Yep.
But
so. For Rip Mystic.
For Rip
Mystic.
And his banged upness.
So you started in LWF and everything came real easy physically.
Oh,
right?
Physically.
So when did you how did you start to develop your match? Like learn about the match stuff, the stuff that came harder. How'd you develop that? How'd you learn about that?
Went down to, again, I'm going to use the name Festus because I cannot remember the name of that area down there.
Yeah.
I know we passed Festus when you blinked, but
Yeah.
I can't remember. But anyway, one of those really small southern shows where we had 3 times as many people at our, practice shows.
Right.
Where we ran, no problem. It was like a 50-person show, my very first match. And then, so I learned by having my very first match and doing everything wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is the best teacher.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I think we accidentally did a lot of things right.
Yeah.
Which is why there's so many guys today that are older but can still get it done in the ring because they still have it up here. Because we made those mistakes early in front of small crowds. And you're also able to take risks, much bigger risks, because for everything you do in a match, for the 10 things you do in a match where the crowd just goes and sits there, you'll do that one thing and they'll go, that was all, and then after you get 5 or 6 of those things, then you go to a bigger show and you put them all together and bang, bang, boom, man, all of a sudden you're the best wrestler on the planet. And everybody thinks so.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we had the advantage starting early. And Brady, I know we brought him up a couple of times. He was instrumental in starting that, as many times as he and I maybe didn't see eye to eye or conflicted over the years. I'll never take away the good things he did for me and for everybody, for other people. But
I took a big lesson from him. One of my big lessons sort of came half from him and half from you, and that was I remember with him specifically. I was doing some stomps in the ring, and he was like, those stomps look like garbage. And I was like, okay, well, how do I do them? And he was like, stick it in there. And so I did some stomps, and he was like, well, that's not. And we went round and round and round and round. It was probably a half an hour of me throwing these stomps, and I was getting frustrated, and I wasn't, what it came down to, and he was just like, they look like garbage. Fix them. They look like garbage. You gotta do it. It's gotta look good. You know what I mean? And I reached a point because I was looking for technical, mechanical. Here's how you throw a stomp. And he was trying to get me to realize you got to put some life into it, you know? And it wasn't until I, like when I started to get really frustrated, to a point that I couldn't hold it back. And so as I threw a stomp, I looked angry, is when he started being like, that looks right.
Yep.
That looks like you're trying to stomp that dude. And I made that connection that night, and I had also, and it was something that I had been looking at you, because I would look at you and we could all do the same stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we reached a point, I mean, you could do some gymnastics stuff we couldn't do, but we could all throw punches and we could all do slams. We could all do the same stuff. And I would watch you, and your stuff would look so different, so real, so legit. And I couldn't figure out for the longest time why that was. And I knew there was something you were doing that made it look real that I couldn't find. And so, like, looking for that, and then kind of like that same night, like, you know, like eventually those two lessons kind of wove together into like the one, there's got to be life in it. It's got to feel real. So, like, I remember that for myself, those two. So,
and then do you remember when that clicked?
I mean, not specifically.
When that clicks, that's when you become a wrestler.
Yes.
And there's still people on TV that hasn't clicked yet.
For real. For real.
And it doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. But I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember when it clicked for me, and I don't even remember who told me that. It might have been something I heard one of my heroes say in an interview. It might not have been something I learned in a clinic or something somewhere. But it's just like, when you go through the curtain, it is real.
Yeah.
It's real. I mean, you're doing a live performance with no takes. It has to be. I'd rather get bruised up than do a crappy performance.
Yeah.
Because if I do, I'm a crappy wrestler.
Right.
I don't want to be a crappy wrestler in front of 100. I don't want to be a crappy wrestler in front of 10 people, let alone 100,000 or whoever.
No bruise hurts as much as having a bad match.
No, and that's the kind of thing that brings guys who have been through that in anything, the army, the military, wrestling.
Yep.
You know just as I do. If you're in there with your friends, you're gonna beat the crap out of each other, and it's gonna be an awesome match.
Yeah.
Or if you're both terrible wrestlers, you're gonna beat the crap out of each other, and it's gonna be a terrible match.
Right.
I've seen a couple of those.
Goes both ways.
Won't use any names. But and both entertaining in their own right. But wherever I was going with that was the point was that
it's real.
It's real when you come out of that curtain, and that's what clicked for me. And that difference you were talking about, or anybody, and I appreciate the compliment, but it's real.
Yeah.
And someone said that about Michaels, about the selling in his matches. Like, well, his back hurts and his selling looks real. Because it's real. His back really hurts.
Right.
Well, I got to that point too. Everything hurts. I'm always mad. I'm always pissed off. Everything looks real.
Yeah.
So
you don't have to act it; it just comes through.
And then when you're in there with someone that you respect and you work well with, half of it is real because you're so tired. We laugh all the time about that stupid Royal Rumble Justin book where I was number one. I still this day. I was like, dude, that's so cliche. That's so dumb. But you come out number 29. I got nothing left, and I'm punching you right in the forehead as hard as I can.
As hard as you can.
And you're just laughing, and you're just like, oh my God.
It's for real.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I mean.
I come out last. I'll never forget that. I come out last, and I could see you in the ring, and you had cleared everybody out, right?
Yeah, it was just you and me.
Cleared it. Yeah, so it was just you and me.
Pretty sure that was an angry tirade, too. Like, I was just so mad and tired. I was like, fuck you, everybody out.
Yeah.
Me and Jared are going home.
We're going home.
I think that's how I remember it in my head anyway. I don't know if that's true.
But I remember coming out and seeing you in the ring, and I could see how tired you were. And I was like, all right, cool, here we go. And I get in there. And
clinic time.
Yeah. You just start putting them into my face.
Potato.
I start laughing in the ring.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are you laughing at? I'm like...
But you know who had a great time that night? The fans did.
Everybody.
They did. They were loud. They had fun. I told Justin it'd be a dud. I said nobody wants to see someone get number one and go all the way to the end. That's stupid. That's cliche.
Yeah. Nope.
And I can't remember, had the WWE done that yet? Or did they just do number 3 yet?
That was Well,
They had already done Ric Flair winning at number 3. Had they done
they
must
done
have.
Michaels.
They
by
had
then.
to
Yeah. Michaels was in like.
That's
90,
why I didn't want to do it, because they'd
93.
already done it. I didn't
Right.
want to do it.
Yeah.
That was the argument we got into. I was like, this is dumb. And he's like, it's a Saturday show. Who cares? And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, you're right. Who cares? But
also that was like the year before Benoit then did it, wasn't it?
did
They were
Benoit do
pretty
it?
quick. Yeah, Benoit did it the year he went to the year he was at WrestleMania.
They pulled the number 1 spot with him too.
Because Heyman put him in there. It was like a punishment. It was like, yeah, he was kind of feuding with Heyman, and Heyman's like, "You're number 1."
What number was Ray when he won? Tell me 25.
I think Ray was 2 or 3.
They've done it too many times then.
Well, it's a thing now.
It's stupid. Then they tried to do it with Brock, but that was cool.
That was awesome.
That was. Seriously, I know we're not supposed to be talking about this
No,
stuff
it's fine.
yet, but seriously,
Yeah.
how do they do such great stuff and then...
Dude.
Dude, that thing with every storyline with Lesnar, for the most part,
Yeah.
is pretty damn cool. Why
Yeah.
is everything with Bray Wyatt so stupid?
I don't know.
It's the same
I'm not a
writers.
Bray Wyatt fan.
I'm done.
Well, they
I'm
don't.
sorry.
I mean, it's 20. It's not the same writers because
Oh, it's not?
there's a committee of 27 writers.
Oh,
They all write different stuff.
jeez, dude. It's not hot.
It's not.
None
it's
of it,
not.
None of it's hot. It's
None
all
of
it's all freaking cold as hell. None of it's hot.
all right.
It's all
So
bullshit. Anyway,
you learn the match work by doing.
the wrong
You get-
stuff. Yep.
by doing the wrong stuff, and you get to where I remember, even before we were all kind of privy to the match stuff, your matches looked better than everybody else's, and like we said, kind of we talked about because you were you looked real, you were just on this different level than most of us were at the time. When do you feel like? Do you remember a moment when you felt like? Specifically, like, I got this, I know. So we talked about when it kind of clicked and you were like, this has got to look real.
Yeah.
Do you remember a time or a moment or what led up to you feeling like, oh, like I'm a wrestler, I'm a real wrestler? Like, when did that happen for you?
I would say, first let me backtrack.
Yep.
I would say everything might have looked more real, but I for sure didn't know where to put everything
Right.
back then. That just came from the gymnastics and military background. I didn't really feel like I had a grasp. Let me take that back. I've always felt like I had it up here.
Okay.
I never felt comfortable in the output until I left New Midwest and started working heel
All
and
around.
doing the loops. Yeah,
Okay.
because that was the real test.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's easy to go in there and have, whether you're going to rehearse or not, when you're in there doing matches with people that you've been rehearsed with, that you've come up with, it's anybody that's worked together, you're always going to have something watchable, if not great. And I'd done some traveling before that,
Yeah.
but I always had New Midwest to rely on. If I did traveling, it was always with some New Midwest guys for the most part.
Yep.
So a good chance I'm wrestling them,
Yep.
or I'm wrestling somebody that's been to our Fed and I've worked with at least a little bit. This was going to be the first time I actually said, screw New Midwest. I'm going to run around and I'm going to wrestle anybody that'll hire me, or I'm going to wrestle I'm going to go everywhere. And I'm going to start making my name mean something around here.
Yeah.
And it was just now, it was because I booked myself heel for the most part, and I put myself in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And one of my first experiences with it was a guy named Matt, who wrestles under Buddy Harker Dirge. And we've talked about him before. Fantastic worker, fantastic wrestler. He's old school. They don't make him like that anymore.
They do not.
Don't even know what he's doing these days, but I hope he's all right. But I learned a lot from him too. But I realized that I didn't need to hold myself back as much. I was good at this. It was just a matter of how much of it did I really want to make a focal point in my life. And at that time, I was angry. So of course, I was going to kill myself being the best pro wrestler around.
Yeah.
Which lasted a year. And I hurt myself.
And then you killed yourself.
And I hurt myself.
Yeah.
Because I killed myself trying to prove it.
Yeah.
And looking back, I got in matches and rings and worked places I probably shouldn't have been, because
We all do.
yeah.
It's-
But with me, what's the point of going somewhere, getting paid $5 to bump on a concrete floor with a kid who sacks groceries on the weekends, just so somebody down the line thinks I'm good?
So
for
sure,
it weighs on you some.
Well, when you're young, when you're like that, and I try to talk to the kids, the guys I train now, and the younger guys coming up behind us, I try to talk to them about this because, one, it's so easy to think that doing moves and taking bumps will make your match memorable, will make you memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because that's the part that's easy to quantify.
Yep.
Right? I can if I take 5 bumps, if I take a bump on the concrete, like it's easy to quantify that. If I do a flip, if I can do a move with a flip, if I can jump high, or if I can do a big slam, that's easy to quantify. But to go out in front of a crowd and be like, well, I have to connect with this crowd, there's no lesson for that. There's no lesson plan. There's no, you know what I mean? You either can do it or you don't, and you can learn to do it, but you can't say, okay, well, I got 3 degrees closer to, you know what I mean, connecting with the crowd this time.
Right.
But, taking those bumps, doing that stuff, that's the stuff that wears you out, that breaks your body, that tears you down, and that means so little, when you're doing it in front of nobody. You know what I mean? When you're not doing it, when you don't know when to make those things count, right? That's the thing. You got to learn when it's going to count. You know what I mean? I hate saying don't do it in front of 30 people at the bingo hall, because the 30 people at the bingo hall still paid $10 for their ticket. They still deserve a show. But, knowing how to connect with the crowd and give them a show, and when to make those things count, that's what you've got to get to. You know what I mean? That's the goal.
I kind of feel like all of us had an even better grasp of that maybe 10 or 15 years ago than they do now. I don't, it depends on what style you like and what style you watch. I mean, an AEW tag match isn't going to be the same as a WWE singles match, obviously, on NXT, but you're going to have lots of different psychology difference. But I don't think anybody that sits in the crowd that hasn't made the crossover, at least attempted to make the crossover, understands that anything that you see or pick up on consciously, like you said, is the easy part.
Right.
It's all the subconscious stuff that that you may never notice. It's the selling of the arm that goes into the finish later. It's the little counter and the tweak on the back that leads into another counter. All that stuff is stuff that guys who have been doing it over and over and over again do by accident. You notice some guys, they don't even get up after taking a bump when they're feeding without selling the back and making a wincing face, even if they're feeding.
Right.
I mean, at the whole time they're just doing that little extra, and when someone's watching that in the crowd, you don't notice it because you're already pulled in.
Yeah.
Because they're doing that, you're pulled in, and the moves don't matter at that point. It doesn't matter if he's doing a triple backflip or a pile driver.
Right.
And that's where the disconnect has come from. I hate to say the younger generation, younger guys, but even from the fans, because the fans just see something, they don't like it, they don't know why.
Yeah.
Why don't I like this?
Yep.
Why is this different than what I've seen before? Because you can't explain it. You're like, it's all fake.
Yeah.
But when you think about it from a movie standpoint, a good comedy versus a bad comedy. Well, what's the difference? They're both supposed to be funny.
Right.
Well, one's done right and one's not.
Yes.
That's the difference. And there's no way to explain it. It's just until you're in that, it finally clicks. And I've heard Randy Orton, if you ever watch Randy Orton talk, he'll talk, you can see he's got it now, but he can't explain what switched. I've heard him talk about it for years, but when you watch his career early on, I used to tease him. It's like, there's player one.
Yep.
Player one, Randy Orton. Every bump he took was perfect.
Picture perfect. Yeah.
Every move he did was it all looked freaking rehearsed to a T. And then he finally figured it out. He's like, okay. And now, when he's trying, good Lord, he looks vicious. He looks freaking scary as hell. And when he's not trying, he's just Randy Orton, but at least he does the moves right.
Right.
So, I mean, I think he's going to have a great tail end. I'm
Oh.
interested to see. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not watching.
Hopefully, we'll get some crowds back. So we
Right.
Can
Well, yes. That's the other thing. You get something good and there's nobody there to enjoy it. Like,
Right.
it looks so campy. It looks, dude, I can put WWE next to my backyard DVD Rip Mystic Tombstone from when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And it looks exactly the same. The only difference is I'm in a backyard and they're in a ring. That is the only difference. The acting is terrible. The conversation transitions are idiotic. No one talks like
Nobody
that.
talks like they're all having stuff written for them.
Oh, it's so god awful. And you know who doesn't have to put up with crap like that? Is guys like Brock Lesnar, and their stuff's always money.
Yeah.
It's always money.
Yeah.
How they haven't paid him and Matt Riddle $1 million to go fight each other for real on WrestleMania, whether that whole thing's a work or not, it's money. It's money making. No.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
I mean, what's the goal here? Are we trying to make money? Are we trying to sell tickets? Are we trying to tickle our balls? I don't know what they're doing on television anymore.
It's a good question.
Looks like a lot of ball tickling to me, but.
So all right, Rob.
Where are we?
We're gonna bring it back around. We're gonna come home. So we've covered a lot though of kind of how you went through your evolution process. Mm-hmm. What's a lesson you wish you could impart to the younger generation, all the guys coming up now, all the wrestlers out there, or just anybody? It doesn't have to be. What's something you wish you could impart
in general?
What's a lesson? The lesson you learned, the most important lesson you learned that you think they should take away.
Don't just know what you're doing, know why you're doing it. And that's one of the hardest lessons I ever learned. I probably learned that more out of the ring than I did in.
Yeah.
But if you can hold on to that lesson, or at least examine yourself.
Where'd you pick that up?
Doing a lot of wrong things.
Doing a lot of okay.
Like I learned everything.
Because you had to. So like, are you saying you had to? Once you did a bunch of things with no idea why you were doing them, then you had to start doing things on purpose.
It's more of when you're doing a lot of things that you think are awesome and you think you're putting in a lot of hard work. And again, I'm not just talking about the wrestling ring. I'm talking about just in life in general. But you really feel like you're doing the work and you really feel like you're, the cat's meow or what's another goofy saying?
Cat's meow is good.
Yeah,
need
the
a bunch
Pete's
of
pajamas. I don't know.
the Pete's pajamas. Yes, the Pete's pajamas.
My language is ruined because everything I say, I have to try to learn to say clean because of my girls now.
Yeah.
So like, I'll just randomly say stupid crap. I was like, what's he talking about? And then I'll lose my place again. But my whole point was that.
When you feel like you're putting in the work, when you think you're Pete's pajamas.
Yeah, when it all makes sense to you and you think you should be in a certain place or you think you deserve something, there's what you think and then there's reality. And the truth is, it doesn't matter how much work you've put in. It doesn't matter how much you think you deserve something. The reality is what the reality is. And if you can accept that and still enjoy yourself and still move forward, you'll never have a bad day in your life. At least that's what I'm trying to get to at this point. But wrestling did teach me that.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped. I mean, how many times you've been in there and done the work and had a crappy match, or done the work and had a crappy show, or done the work and no one showed up, and done the coolest thing ever and nobody cared, and then everybody toots your horn over something you never thought was a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been the story of Rip Mystic's wrestling life. It's been the story of my life. So, I think that lesson is never ceases to stop surprising me. Let me put it that way. Yeah. I don't know if that's good to close on.
Yeah, that's perfect. I can't think of a better place. I can't think of a better place to close on.
For sure.
So we're gonna wrap that up for this week. We got 2 more weeks with Rip Mystic. I'm super excited.
2 more.
There's so much. I'm having such a blast, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for hydrating me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
I enjoy this, but free tea.
gotta keep you hydrated.
Yeah.
Guys, we will be back next week. Next week, we're going to talk about Rip Mystic's wrestling philosophy.